Good morning, everyone. Lori Marie here, mixed media artist in Vallejo, California. Look at this mask. Sherry made me this mask and it's underpants. Oh, is that not just the cutest? Thank you, Sherry. What a lovely gift. She dropped that off last week, so thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. I am working on my mourning pages, and you get to extract the yummy background techniques and do a focal point of your choice. Art is the universal healer, and I am using it to heal my heart after a loss. So I encourage other people to do that as well. Grab a couple minutes here, grab a couple minutes there, and play when you can. Get to that table and just move your hands around. Something's going to happen. This was a fun piece. We will walk through it together. I thought I had finished it, but I didn't have the moment until a little bit later. And so when I was doing a face-to-face with Patricia, I found a letter Y, and when I put that on the piece, it was that moment we all search for when we know our art piece is done. So thank you again for joining. Subscribe if you haven't. We have, I don't know, I think over 400 videos now for us to watch with backgrounds and altered pages and dolls and all kinds of stuff, all kinds of mixed media. So grab a cuppa and see you on the table. This is our project for today. This is in my mourning book, my mourning pages. And this represents Jeremy, Casey, Benjamin, Travis, Cameron. And the three that I have remaining with me on this earth are Jeremy, Benjamin, and Travis. And becoming brave. So I feel pretty brave today. This was a page that had ochre paint on it and some gesso. So I just played with some underpants and some distress ink and a stencil. This is like Frankenpatch with paper and glue. I would have liked to have sewn it, but my dad was sleeping, so maybe another time. Good morning, sleeping house. So this is the page we worked on last time, and this was just extra ochre. I'm gonna bring in my favorite stencil and some gesso and a makeup sponge and a small workspace, and I'm just going to go through here and put some white gesso on the stencil. I'm going to do the whole page. The reason I use gesso is I like the non-shiny finish, so we'll let that dry. Bringing in my spray station here, an old box. Put a piece of paper on this page to protect it. And I'm going to bring in my spray paints. These are Marabou spray paints. Spray acrylics. Chosen a few colors. Start at the top. Bring in some alcohol. I'm going to bring in a paper towel and blot that. Bring the blue back in. We're going to let that dry. Yesterday I was ripping out focal points for a traveling collage, which left me with a bunch of fun, colorful scraps. So I have a piece of scrapbooking paper. Just going to rip it down to a smaller size. And I'm going to just start gluing these down. This is a version of the Franken patches, and I would be sewing it if my dad were awake, and he is not. So we're just going to go through and glue these pieces down. I'm going to go back in and just add little bits and pieces. Where it's too solid. And we're going to let that dry. Bring some sandpaper in. Rough this back up a little bit. I'm bringing in Bundled Sage Distress ink. And mustard seed. And broken china. And we will let that dry. Bringing in this stencil and the Van Dyke Brown Hue and my makeup sponge. So these underpants are very fragile. And I'm going to just place some around and glue them down. As I'm gluing these down with the Mod Podge, the Distress ink is moving a little bit, which is yummy. Not only am I okay with that, but I love that. Alright, we're going to let that dry. This is the leftover from a napkin. down some Mod Podge. And the napkin and some Mod Podge. And we'll let that dry. I'm just tearing the extra napkin off here. Bring in my Posca marker. So the Posca marker's not quite dark enough for me. Bringing in black gesso. And I'm going to make 5 stems. Now I'm painting some stripes up the stems. I have the 5 stems done. I'm going to bring back in my Franken-patched paper. Thank you, Lori, for this suggestion. And I'm going to cut out some hearts. And I'm going to glue those down. Bringing in my Sharpie white paint pen. Just putting some white paint, not filling it in completely. I'll bring my Stabilo in, go around the 3 hearts. Around the edge of the page. And I'm going to go in here on some of the seams and Stabilo a little bit. I'm going to bring back in those papers and punch some holes. I want the dots. So I've punched some holes out of the remaining scrap paper, Franken patches, paper Franken patches, and I'm using the white side. And I'm putting some dots. Whoop. I'm going to add some white dots. Alright, I found those words. I really like them. I like the font. Let those dry. Bit of Stabilo around the words. Okay, there's our finished page. Becoming brave. Your turn. Go create. Go play. Go have fun. Well, yes, the finished piece. Becoming brave. Then I was sitting here talking to Patricia on a face-to-face, and there was a Y sitting on my desk, and I thought, becoming brave. Why? Why? So I added the Y and a question mark and some more dots. And I thought I would just bring you in to see that. All right, now, go create, go play, go have fun.